Hey everyone, welcome to Eating Enlightenment. I'm here with Susan at New Forest Nutrition. Hey Susan, how's it going?
Hello, hi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So, Susan has been a professional practitioner of nutritional therapy since 2009, providing consultations to clients with various health conditions, including digestive problems, low energy, weight-related problems, depression, anxiety, addictions, and children and adults with autism. Susan regularly attends conferences and seminars, keeps up to date with nutritional research, and is a member of BANT, the British Association for Applied Nutrition and Nutritional Therapy. It's the professional body for registered nutritional therapists. And she's also fully registered with the CNHC Complementary Natural Healthcare Council and is fully insured. So Susan, I'm excited to talk with you. Back in 2009, take us back to when you got started. What got you into nutritional therapy?
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Okay, so what drew me to study nutritional therapy was my own health problems. When I had my first child, I became postnatally depressed and I didn't want to go on drugs. And I started looking for answers. And I came across a book on nutritional therapy and nutrients and foods and how they affect our well-being and mood. That kind of drew some, curiosity in me, and I wanted to learn more. And I finally found a local nutritional therapist, which I had a consultation with, and I quite liked the process of the consultation. I liked the fact that they said, yes, some nutrients can help with your mood and, eat these foods, take these supplements, etc. And then, one book led to another book, and I finally found the Institute for Optimum Nutrition, where I embarked on studying nutrition to become a therapist.
What was that nutritional therapist? How did they work with you? And then how did you benefit from that as well?
Well, she actually did an in-clinic test for me for sort of reactions to food, and a hell of a lot of foods came up. It was just like almost like there was nothing that I was not reacting to, so to speak. And it was like I could not sort of carry out the recommendations diet-wise, but she also recommended some, B vitamins. As we know, B vitamins are quite good for sort of mood regulation and neurotransmitters and all that business. She recommended eating fatty fish and, a diet rich in fruit and vegetables. And that side of things kind of helped me quite a bit. At the time, I don't think I had the right mindset to eliminate foods to the extent that it was recommended for me. But later on down the line, I think I sort of, went more down that route and got even further benefits to eliminating certain foods from the diet at certain stages in my life.
That's like my friend had one of these food tests. She definitely is allergic to gluten. She went in and I believe they either swabbed her lips with gluten or different like shellfish or something like that. Is that what the food allergen process you're talking about?
No, this was a different sort of test. I think it was a Vega test where they sort of put electrodes on your hands and things. But in clinic, I personally use a finger prick blood test to check for food intolerances, etc. So we look at antibody markers in the blood, so to speak, and that will be tested against certain foods. And if a reaction occurs, then it can be graded as severe, mild, etc. And based on that information, I'll recommend eliminating certain foods, etc.
What foods were you allergic to? You mentioned you were allergic to them or you had a reaction, but you didn't eliminate them. Like, were there foods that were definitely causing a big problem and then other foods that were just like, it's a little bit of a problem?
I did at the time. I mean, there was dairy was in there, wheat was in there, but there was all sorts of vegetables and fruits and things were in there as well. So it was almost like you couldn't do a rotational diet. You couldn't do, it was almost like, what can I eat? But I didn't see benefit to that. But I think what I know now is when you're under a lot of stress, your gut tends to get a little bit leaky, so to speak. So you're more likely to react to quite a lot of foods anyway when you're in that situation.
Absolutely. Did going through this nutritional therapy process help you become less stressed through food?
Through food, do you mean? What do you mean? Sorry, I didn't understand that question.
Just the overall process of nutritional therapy. I actually don't really know much about nutritional therapy. I assumed it's working with food. So like reducing stress by changing your food intake, but maybe it goes beyond nutritional therapy. Perhaps you can just describe for me and the audience what nutritional therapy is?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So basically, what a nutritional therapist does, before we see the client, usually we like to look at their health history. So they'll, complete a health questionnaire for us before they come to see us. We all work differently, of course. That's a different matter, but that gives us insight into, what sort of health issues they've had, not just now, but going down the health history. And also we look at, what sort of familiar health or disease patterns there might be. And we have a consultation where we talk face-to-face usually or over the internet. And we devise a plan looking at the diet. Are some of the foods they're eating contributing to their health condition? Do they have some nutritional deficiencies that need to be corrected? Sometimes, I see quite a lot of clients with gut issues. That seems to be the biggest driver for my clinic at the moment. So sometimes I'll recommend, stool testing, or it might be food intolerance testing, or there might be other tests that would be recommended. And based on the information that we've gathered, I'll recommend a certain protocol, a plan, a program to follow, which may involve adding in foods, taking out foods, that sort of thing, and certain complementary nutritional supplements to help, speed up the recovery process, so to speak. If there's deficiency, let's correct them, let's repair things and get the person in a better shape. Hopefully if it's digestion, improve the digestion, normal bowels and everything like that. And once digestion has improved, many health conditions.
It reminds me of 23andMe. It reminds me of 23andMe.
Yeah. Well, 23andMe is a little bit it gives you the full data of your genome, but you need to run that via other sort of specialist companies to get specific areas to work with, like whether it be your methylation or your detoxification and, that sort of thing.
Yeah, got you. Like it wasn't the exact same, but just in the sense of you're looking at your past, you're looking at your past family's history of nutrition. Interesting stuff. And speaking of fermentation, that's a big passion of yours. You teach cookery workshops in the New Forest in Hampshire. Yeah. What are these cookery workshops? How'd you get into that?
Oh, well, I'm a qualified chef. Maybe I didn't put it in my bio. So I worked in the restaurant industry for a while. Ever since a young age, I've been cooking. My parents run a restaurant. I worked there during my summer holidays. I went and did a few private cookery courses, and then I ended up in London working at some of the, top good restaurants. And it was working in the catering industry, actually, that caused a lot of stress and anxiety for me at the time. I wasn't able to conceive because I wanted to have a child. And then when I finally sort of gave up working, I became pregnant straight away. And it just comes to show that stressed relationship with conceiving or not being able to conceive can make such a huge difference. So that is my past. And at the moment, I'm trying to do more with food and nutrition together. And fermented foods and drinks is a great way to help people with their gut issues, really.
Yeah, I'm hearing this deep healing or recovery, stress relief in your life from being able to have a kid when you were previously struggling, as well as what kind of got you into the nutritional therapy in the first place. Would you say stress is one of the like major reasons, and reducing stress was one of the major reasons you got into doing these nutritional therapy workshops? These different got into food. Is that why you got into food?
I feel like food is like a strong driver for me. I love cooking. I love eating. I love all sorts of foods, different national foods and stuff like that. And my son, I've cooked for my son gluten-free diet. Obviously, he's 17 years old now. For about almost 13, 14 years, I've been cooking gluten-free for him and dairy-free. And so when you put that sort of restricted diet in place as a natural cook, shall we say, straight away you have to find ways to sort of not only feed your child, but like do some of those good foods that you're going to miss, or you don't want him to miss out. So you become better at that. And I want to, even though as a therapist, we often recommend, take these foods out and try these other foods, etc. It can be a scary experience for people if they haven't done these elimination diets before. But I tend to sort of, with my cooking, I think I simplify. I don't like people going out of their way to look for special, expensive ingredients to be able to make something work. And I've never really done that with my son. So it's all about cooking proper foods, good foods, even if they're gluten-free, you can make them healthy, etc. With low sugar and good ingredients. The seasonal ingredient especially needs to be part of the diet.
Were you into food and cooking? You mentioned being a chef at the restaurant industry. Was this pre-2009?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I was a spring chicken a long time ago.
So you're in the food industry, but you're ridiculously stressed out.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I used to sort of. I resonate with my clients, and if they're stressed and they get gut issues, I know what that feels like. I used to get stomach pains while I was going to work, basically because I know what's going to come. I know what sort of stress I'm going to go through, and I've just seemed to turn into a repeated pattern. And I realized I just got to stop. It's making me sick.
Yeah. Wow. What I'm very, very curious about this whole gut stress, and then also the fermentation side of things, because I know fermentation, just a huge passion of yours. Let's just start off big picture. You mentioned a pattern of stress and gut. How does stress impact the gut? What was happening for you?
Well, basically, a few things were happening. I mean, going back even further back, there was a restaurant that I used to work, which was very competitive, and I didn't I was quite anxious of the head chef, so I had this communication problem with them. I never sort of been able to sort of close that gap, and that used to cause a lot of anxiety in me. And I was at the point where I would feel very, very overly anxious before I would go to work. Especially if I was doing an evening shift, and that very unhealthy. I mean, looking back, I realized that I should have asked for help, but I never talked to anybody about it. I just tried to heal myself, with self-meditation and hypnotherapy and stuff like that. But and after that, after a few other places that I've worked, the last place that I was working, I was finally sort of had a sous chef position. But in the pressure and the stress became and with the increased responsibility became so much that I would sort of physically feel like this pain in my gut whenever I was going to work. And at the work, you need to sort of hold your composure, because if you're in charge of the kitchen, especially, you just have to keep it in. So you're constantly keeping the stress inside. Is sort of affecting your mental well-being, affecting your gut, and all these sort of things, and fertility as well. As it happened to be, I couldn't conceive at the time, even though I wanted. We tried, but it didn't work out.
Yeah. So I understand keeping the stress in your body. It's like mind and body are connected. If the stress is in your mind and it's in your body is going to react in a stressful way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that has stress has a huge impact on overall well-being. It has an impact on your immunity, your digestion, definitely, mental well-being. I mean, I can't think of anything that it won't affect, the stress. If your stress level is out of, kilter, then you need to sort it out. It's probably the first thing that people need to sort out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's oftentimes what I'll start with working with people is self-care, just getting people to feel their stress and take care of themselves. So how does fermentation drinks, and we'll get into some of these drinks in just a little bit, but how do fermented drinks help with healing a gut that is under stress?
Well, the way the fermented drinks or foods work is they go through a process where various bacteria or yeast come to the foods that are in them. These are the end products, for instance, these drinks, and a fermentation occurs, and it's usually the lactic acid bacteria, say with that one up there, sauerkraut, and they'll feed on all the vegetables and stuff like that. And then they'll produce lots of organic acids and enzymes, and they'll turn the food into something that then is more nourishing than it originally started. For instance, in sauerkraut, it has more vitamin C than the original cabbage. It's packed with B vitamins. Some ferments have vitamin K in them, and etc. So those properties of those foods can be very beneficial for one's well-being. They're easier to digest, and they help you digest other foods as well when you eat them as part of your diet or while you're drinking them.
Gotcha. And you actually have some fermented drinks on the table. If you're listening, Susan will describe each drink. Susan, can you describe the drinks and kind of what you're seeing and what they taste like, and how do you make them, and the various benefits of them?
These two here, as you can see, they've got beautiful dark purple colors, and these are made with purple carrots. Okay, these two are my favorites, and these are not sweet drinks; these are savory drinks, so they're salty and sour. The first one is a drink called kanji, and it comes from India, that sort of area of the world. This has been sitting in the fridge for a while, and this is made with purple carrots. Look at that beautiful color. Purple carrots and black mustard seeds and salt and water. You can put spices in it if you like, but that's just how I make mine.
And how do you ferment it? So you seal it and bury it underground for a year? No, I'm just kidding. But how do you ferment?
Yeah, this one, you just cover it up. Once you put you chop your carrots and your crushed mustard seeds, salt and your water, put them all in a container, and you cover it up, and you can either put it in a sunny window shelf, or I'll just leave it in the room. And I like to leave mine for about 21 days or something like that, but you don't have to leave it that long. And it become more and more mellow. The carrots will leave all the color into the drink. That's all natural. There's no added anything in it. And it will turn into a really sour, rich in lactic acid drink that's quite beneficial for your gut. I've actually read somewhere that it's a great gut tonic, and it'll clear you out if you've got any infections. So that would be one really good one to go to.
Wow. Yeah, for some reason I was thinking that it would get like moldy or something, but I guess it doesn't.
No, it has a high salt content, and that's likely to keep the bad bugs at bay. Okay. That is not a drink that goes moldy quite quickly, but something like kombucha might be a little bit trickier. It likes its environment, and because there's sugar in there sometimes, and if dependent on your environment, it can get a little bit of mold in some cases. Okay. The second drink I can talk about is something called the shalgam suyu, and this again is made with purple carrots, and this comes from Turkey. I studied in Turkey at university for 4 years when I was young.
Got a connection.
And they sell this on the streets in big sort of vessels like this, and they just pour it in a glass walkaboys will buy, and they serve it with some of the carrots that it's been, used to make.
Oh, wow.
So this one looks like delicious wine, almost beautiful color. And this one is quite spicy. This one has purple carrots, chilies, garlic, some grains in there, some chickpeas, a little bit of lemon juice, salt. I hope I haven't forgotten anything, but that's what makes this delicious drink.
Huh. It's spicy?
It's spicy, and traditionally they will drink this while they're eating food and drinking ouzo or raku, which is an aniseed liquor, a very strong alcoholic beverage, and they'll drink that with that to sort of help digest it, etc.
How much water, like what amounts of these different ingredients? Do you put like 5 cups of water, 1 carrot, what are the proportions of these ingredients?
The recipe I use at the moment, because I don't make large batches, it'd be 2 liters of water to about 500 grams of carrots, approximately.
That's like 5 large carrots, or?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Or two large carrots, like 2 to 3. I wouldn't go too much. So it'd be like, if you see this jar here, kimchi, it'll be fill up to there with water. You put about that sort of amount of carrots in there. That should be enough.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. And was there a third bottle, or?
This one is this is a blackberry kombucha vinegar. As you can see, it's got kombucha mushroom.
Yeah, I used to make kombucha back in the day. That's cool. Blackberry vinegar.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
So this is the kombucha that's gone a little bit. Excuse me. I was going to make a kombucha drink, but I just kind of forgot the blackberries in there. And it was sitting on the shelf, and it kept active, and it finally turned into vinegar. And got this beautiful smell of the blackberries as well. So I use that in salads and cooking. So that's a great thing to do as well.
Yeah. So sometimes when I go to the store, I'll see different kombucha drinks, and I really haven't tried them. Are they good? What do you think about them?
If the kombucha drink has not been pasteurized, if it's raw and it's still like considered probiotic drink, that would be good. So there'll be some live enzymes in there, and it should have beneficial effects on your gut. Many people suggest that their gut improves when they start drinking, something like kombucha, which is a tea-based fermented drink.
Yeah, I wonder what proportion are pasteurized. Anyway, I wonder how many of them are pasteurized or not pasteurized.
Well, in England, usually going to health stores is a good way to go about it. And they usually be labeled raw, unpasteurized, or live. I don't know how they label them in America, but that's the way it is over here.
So when you started recovering from all this stress and healing your gut, were you drinking these drinks? I mean, I don't remember. I got exposed to kombucha back in like 2013, 2014. I didn't hear about it before then. How did you start to recover from the stress gut thing?
I'm not too sure if I ever recovered, to be honest with you. I'm more in touch with myself now. I mean, I've done things like a lot of spiritual work, mental work as well, like meditation and stuff like that. But I have a tendency to be stressed. I mean, I have a son who's autistic. That in itself, looking after an autistic child can be very demanding on parents. That's been quite a heavy ride. So I myself, I have Asperger's, and Asperger's people have a tendency to be more anxious. So that's a little bit of connection there. So I think so if you've got a tendency to stress or being anxious, you know how to, you sort of have to learn how to sort of manage yourself in a sort of different way. I know certain foods will affect me in a negative way more than sort of other ones. But I kind of like to sort of keep a happy medium, except if you see what I mean. So I've been dairy free, gluten free, but I quite often find myself going back to eating gluten. But in the ideal world, I like to eat, say, my gluten to be a good quality source, like sourdough bread, rather than your standard soft, doughy, cheap bread type thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And just making things in a way achievable. More fruit and vegetables is definitely the way to go for gut health, and helping your mind and spirit as well.
I love it. I love that answer. That's straight from the gut. It's honest. It's real. Thank you. So when you are working with a client, and would you give them like a test to discover their food allergens? Yeah. Do you give people tests with your nutritional therapy?
Yeah, I mean, obviously all the tests have an additional cost. So, I have a service that people can book a, food intolerance test, come in the clinic and do it, or do it at home. But if, it's not part of my consultation package to have a test as well. So that's separate. But I have different packages where we could do a stool test and various, few consultations. It depends on each client have a different presentation. Some people have read, say, over the internet that they've got A, B, and C symptoms, and they've heard that foods can cause that. And then, they pick up the phone and say, oh, can I have a food intolerance test? And if that's what they want, we provide that service. But once you see the client face to face, and you go through their health history and what their presentations is, as a therapist, my job is to sort of connect the dots, so to speak, to try, if I'm going to recommend a test, try and choose a test that would be best serve that client's purpose, and get the best outcome, hopefully. Of course, we can make mistakes, but we have to do an informed choice, and that's why we continue with the education to sort of learn what services are out there, what can we use in clinic to help these clients.
Yeah, because it seems like this can be such a benefit for people who are under stress. And even if it doesn't fully take away the stress or whatever, if you have to live with stress, having these resources available is just something really helpful to know about. And if people were interested in ordering that with you or working with you, I think especially if someone was anxious and having gut problems, they would resonate with your story so much. Where would people contact you?
Well, they can find me on my webpage is newforestnutrition.co.uk. I'm also on the social media platforms, so just get in touch, basically.
Yeah. There'll be links down below. I'll make sure there's links to everything. Okay. Yeah. I feel complete. Thank you for sharing a little bit about yourself and teaching us about fermented drinks.
Thank you. I've got quite a fermentation workshop coming up. Quite a few out there, so it would be nice if anybody comes across this in the UK and they listen to it and they might want to come and learn to make some ferments. Check us out.
Love it.